Sunday of this year, just thinking about what the service was going to be. Then I said, Lord, I'm at the crossroad of life. These people who are saying this thing to me, that I should come and so this is the day I say I'm going to give them the final answer. I am not doing. And that's the truth. Because I was thinking to leave Jesus' house, leave Washington and go and live in Ogbomosho. That's not the deal. That's not. I hope you believe what I'm saying. The next thing I had, clearly, you are born for this. This is the reason for your birth. That's what I heard. And of course, that's not what I was expecting.
Hello, people. I welcome you to my YouTube channel, The Strides. I'd like to weigh into this trending issue about Pastor Ghandi Olaoye, who had pastored for 30 years with a Redeemed Church in Washington. And right now, has accepted, or he's presently the Soun, I hope I pronounced that very well, the Soun of Ogbomosho. This was the address, the official address he actually gave to his church. And he needed to do this because there were a lot of noise on the internet concerning one pastor who left pastoring to become the Oba of Ogbomosho. And trust the social media and trust YouTubers and trust all kinds of people who were trying to weigh into it and say all kinds of things about it. Then he decided to address the church in Washington, and this is his official address. A lot of things have been said about this. A lot of people have made a lot of noise about it. I've had a lot of people rant about it. People like Maureen Badejo. I don't know even what is that woman's own self. I don't know who gave her the right to do what she thinks she's doing, criticizing people and all kinds of things. There are a lot of people who are just, uh, going for, what do you call it, cheap views and all that for the pennies they get from YouTube. What I want to do here right now is to bring a very constructive, my own opinion on this matter. The first thing that I want to answer now, notice that this man had pastored for 30 years. For me, 30 years is a very long time to pastor or to be engaged in any work. All right? Now, please understand this is one thing God is helping us understand in this season, that pastoring or being a clergy or whatever, it's not only the expression of ministry. There are many other expressions of ministry. Ministry simply means service to God and humanity. The word ministry means service. A minister is a servant. So there are different expressions of ministry, which is basically a service rendered to God and humanity. This is what ministry is all about. And there are chief amongst people know about the fivefold ministry where you can become an apostle according to Ephesians chapter 4:11. You either an apostle, a prophet, then you are either an evangelist, a pastor, or a teacher. All right, that is just the church ministry. But there are other. David was not a pastor, but he was a minister of God. He was a king. He was a minister of God. All right? There are many other expressions of ministry, like becoming a leader. And this is one of the reasons why a lot of Christians are shying away from leadership positions. A leader a lot of Christians are doing shying away from leadership position. There are much you can do for God as a leader, as a political leader, as the king of your village or your town. There are a lot of things you can influence. You stand a better chance to eradicate fetish, all kinds of fetish acts and all kinds of things that are not in consonance with God's word. As a king, you may not be able to do that with just preaching the gospel, but as a king, you can stop that. You know, one of the major criticism that people have had people criticize is that it's not possible for you to become an Alafin or become, if you're not an Oboni man, that for you to become a king in Yoruba land or whatever, or Ogbomosho, you have to become an Oboni man, belong to the Oboni cult, and then you have to go through a lot of processes. They said human sacrifice is an essential part of all those things are just nonsense. They are just nonsense. See, I have had a yeah, I did come from Yoruba land, okay, but I know that many towns and villages are discarding these ungodly acts of human whatever and whatever and whatever. They are discarding it, and it depends on who is involved. It depends on who is involved. The man said he is born into the royal family, and there are about 5 royal families. Please, you can watch this fully from any other channel. All right. Is that he belonged to a royal family, and now it's the turn. He never thought of it. He never wanted to do it. He's far away in Washington, pastoring a Redeemed Christian Church of God, and he's satisfied. Although before that, he began to. He knew that he was going to retire after 30 years. He's already 60. That he's going to retire from ministry 60. If people are criticizing this, I am anybody who's going to criticize his retirement, I think that person has something is wrong with the person. It's only in Nigeria that people don't retire from ministry. But in the Western world, people retire from ministry. Whatever you've done, if he's paying his dues to God and to the church, he has done that. 30 years is a long time to do that. Ministry is not pastoring is not a lifetime thing. Pastoring is not an idol where you sacrifice your entire life to. Apostleship or whatever is not evangelism or all this are not. And who says that he has stopped the service of God? Like he said, he had an understanding that there are several expressions of ministry, of course, which leadership, whether to become an Oba or to become a governor of your state or to become whatever you find yourself, is an expression of ministry. There are examples of people in the Bible who were called ministers of God, not because they preached, but because they served in a position. Joseph, for instance. Okay, what do you say about Joseph? Egypt was a very occultic place, if we're to go. I don't think that the occultism in Yoruba, if there is anything like people are saying about it, because that's one of the criticism, I don't think, go and read the nation of ancient Egypt. I don't think that the occultism in Yoruba land, that the occultism in Yoruba is stronger than that of ancient Egypt. But it was in that system that God raised a leader for himself by the name Joseph. Egypt was the headquarter of occultism. Egypt was the headquarter of all kinds of things. Civilization began from there. All kinds of occultic civilizations and all kinds of whatever started from Egypt. But it was through that system. Okay, do you want to tell me that Joseph did not pass through the system? What do you say about Moses, who was raised in Egypt and eventually became the leader of Israel? Did Moses not pass through the whole school or the whatever process that he had to pass through and eventually became what God wanted him to be? See, when people who are not sound spiritually begin to, this is one problem when people have a platform. YouTube has given people who are not rooted platforms and voice, and they are making a whole lot of noise about what they don't understand. So, Are you trying to tell me that Joseph did not pass through whatever is happening in Egypt then? Or Moses, who eventually became, was not raised in that same system? Even people allege that he wrote certain books in that system. My brother, what you don't understand is bigger than you. Instead of just making noise and criticizing, the Bible said, by their fruits you shall know them. I know of a lot of, I'm not from Yoruba land, I'm an Igbo man, but I know a lot of Obas and a lot of Igbo kings who are Christians, believers, born again. They are championing the cause of Jesus Christ, using the traditional stool of their villages. In fact, you even have an association of traditional rulers, born again traditional rulers. I know there's an association like that. So what are people talking about? So if you think what if your criticism is that why should he leave? Why should he leave ministry? He has done that, or why should he leave the church? He has done that for 30 years, so he has the right to retire if he has. Whatever a man has done for 30 years, there are example of a lot of people who have done that. John C. Maxwell was a pastor for many years, and he retired from pastoring and went into training and facilitating the training on leadership and all that, and he blew up and became the letters guru, or let me say the world guru in leadership training. So what are you talking about? What are you talking about? When people just want to criticize pastors, they just want to pick anything to criticize. This man knows better than you. He was born in the system. He was born in that family. And who told you that he must become an Oboni man, he must go through or do all kinds of whatever sacrifices like you people said? That's not necessary. That is not necessary. It depends on the man who is in question. Because I have an uncle who was installed a king with the Bible. He said, okay, you want me to be a king? I'm going to give you guys my condition. My condition is that if you want me to be king, you are going to install me as a king with the Bible. And that was exactly what they did. They followed all their traditional processes and whatever. But when it came to the installation, traditional processes does not necessarily mean that they had to do anything fetish or do any human sacrifice or whatever. But when it came to the day of installation, they had to use the Bible. And that was the Bible that he kept using. He used the Bible throughout his reign. So please, let's stop criticizing what we don't know and make researches and ask questions we don't know. Esther was raised a queen in Babylon, King Ahasuerus' reign. Those things are very occultic time and occultic society. Look at what they were subjected to, and yes, God raised her in that system. Raised her in that system. Today, let me even tell you people, because a lot of you don't know what God is doing. God is raising men and sending them back to their villages. God is moving in communities right now. I've been involved in community, uh, uh, taking the gospel of Jesus Christ to different communities and all that. And I can tell you categorically that God has moved on. God has moved back to your villages. For some of you who are in township, city people, you don't want to hear about the village. Hello, God has moved on. And he's raising leaders, he's putting people in position, his own people that he has trained, putting them in position so that they can bring down powers, evil powers down, so that the gospel, the light of the gospel can penetrate. And who can do that better than a pastor who has pastored for 30 years? And look at what he said. He said when he had this, he consulted his leader, Pastor Deboye, and asked him, do you know of anyone, pastor, who has ever been an Oba? Yes, he said he knew. I mentioned about two of them. He said he knew about four. but he could only remember 2 at the moment. I said there is nothing about it. It's all about you going there to represent Christ. I am saying this at the very surface value in that I don't know the details of this, but from what this man is saying, there is nothing wrong with a pastor becoming an Oba. In fact, we need more pastors to become Obas and become Igwes and kings and Obis. We need more pastors to return back to their villages and install Christ to to uninstall and overrule principalities and powers and install the gospel of Jesus. And it's not only past, they can't do that just by preaching. Some pastors that have run away from their primordial calling should return back and take over leadership positions. This is what I have to say about this. And what do you think about this? If you think that what I said is right, please comment. Do you think a pastor can retire after 30 years? Do you think it is right, in your own opinion, for a pastor to actually become an Oba of a place, a king of a place? Do you think that if he has to go through that, that if he has to become that, he must be subjected to all kinds of things that is against his belief and all that? So what do you think? Please like. If you like this video, just like it, share, click the notification button, because severally, at least 4 times in a week, I do release videos talking about issues like this. Thank you so much, and God bless you. Did it strides. Signing out.